Former President Donald Trump issues a direct denial. The United States, he states, faces no weapons shortage. This assertion comes amid ongoing discussions regarding military readiness and strategic reserves. Simultaneously, Trump declares a firm stance against information leaks, announcing that those responsible for releasing sensitive data are actively being hunted down. These dual statements, reported across various news outlets, highlight growing tensions surrounding national security and internal government communications. The former president's remarks aim to quash speculation while signaling a zero-tolerance policy on unauthorized disclosures. Focusing on the first claim, former President Trump emphatically denies any U.S. weapons shortage. His statements, delivered publicly, directly challenge a narrative that has quietly circulated among certain defense circles. Trump asserts the nation's military-industrial complex remains robust, capable of meeting all defense needs. This contradicts some internal assessments that suggest strain on stockpiles, particularly concerning specific munitions categories. The former president's stance presents a unified front, projecting strength and unwavering capacity in the global defense landscape, as quoted by multiple reports covering his remarks. The second significant declaration from Trump targets what he terms leakers within the government. He states that those who divulge sensitive information are not just being investigated, but are actively being hunted down. This strong terminology, reported by sources present at his recent appearance, signals a heightened aggressive approach to internal security breaches. The former president has consistently criticized unauthorized disclosures throughout his career, often viewing them as threats to national security. This latest pronouncement indicates a firm intent to root out individuals perceived as undermining government operations and confidentiality. These statements by former President Trump arrive amidst a period of geopolitical instability and increased global defense spending. Reports from various think tanks have periodically raised questions about the United States' long-term ability to sustain both domestic defense needs and international commitments. Trump's denial of a shortage seems to address these underlying concerns directly. His comments on leakers also emerge against a backdrop of several high-profile intelligence disclosures in recent years. Analysts suggest these dual pronouncements could be an attempt to reassert control over the national security narrative. While Trump denies any shortage, who are the sources suggesting otherwise? Anonymous defense officials, speaking on background to several major news outlets, have previously voiced concerns about depleted stockpiles of certain munitions, particularly those supplied to allied nations. Independent defense analysts also cite public data on production rates versus consumption, raising red flags. These concerns are not official government positions but reflect internal discussions and expert opinions. The discrepancy between these claims and Trump's outright denial forms a central point of contention in the ongoing debate over U.S. military readiness. Trump's denial of a weapons shortage carries significant implications both domestically and internationally. Domestically, it aims to reassure the public and potentially silence critics regarding the state of the nation's defense industrial base. Internationally, such a firm declaration could be intended to project an image of unshakable strength to allies and adversaries alike, as observed by political commentators. However, if any underlying shortages do exist, as some analysts suggest, a categorical denial could hinder transparency and potentially delay necessary adjustments in production or procurement strategies. The long-term effects on strategic planning remain to be seen. When Trump speaks of leakers being hunted down, the term itself warrants examination. It broadly refers to individuals who disclose classified or sensitive government information without authorization. This can range from whistleblowers exposing misconduct to those leaking information for political gain or personal profit. The investigative process to identify such individuals typically involves extensive forensic analysis of digital trails, communications, and access logs. Legal frameworks like the Espionage Act often govern prosecutions related to such disclosures. The former president's strong language emphasizes the severity with which his camp views these breaches. The United States government has a long history of grappling with information leaks. From the Pentagon Papers in the 1970s to more recent disclosures by figures like Edward Snowden, administrations have consistently struggled to balance transparency with national security. Each administration has adopted varying approaches, from aggressive prosecution to more cautious internal reviews. Trump's hunted down rhetoric echoes a firm stance seen in past presidencies that prioritized strict enforcement. This historical context underscores the perennial challenge of managing sensitive information within a democratic society, as explored by numerous historical analyses. The legal ramifications of hunting down leakers are substantial. Individuals identified could face charges under various statutes, most notably the Espionage Act of 1917, which carries severe penalties including lengthy prison sentences. The process involves federal investigations by agencies like the FBI and often requires the Attorney General's approval for prosecution. Legal experts note the difficulty in proving intent and the often complex nature of distinguishing between legitimate whistleblowing and unlawful disclosure. Trump's language suggests a push for maximal enforcement, as detailed by legal commentators analyzing his remarks. Official reactions to Trump's statements remain largely guarded. Current administration officials have, for the most part, declined to comment directly on the former president's remarks regarding either weapons shortages or leakers. This reluctance to engage publicly suggests a cautious approach to avoid politicizing ongoing defense assessments or sensitive internal investigations. However, some anonymous sources within defense circles reportedly continue to express concern about resource allocation, maintaining their previous stance on potential strains. This divergence highlights a persistent tension between political messaging and operational realities within government. Media outlets and defense analysts are closely scrutinizing Trump's dual assertions. Many news organizations are cross-referencing Trump's claims with public records and expert opinions, noting the stark contrast between his denials and some circulating reports. Analysts are also debating the effectiveness and ethical implications of the hunt-down directive for leakers. Some suggest it could have a chilling effect on legitimate whistleblowing, while others argue it's necessary for protecting national secrets. The discourse reflects a broader societal debate on transparency versus security, as reported by various media watchdogs and think tanks. Despite Trump's denial, some evidence for potential weapons shortages has been presented by various non-governmental groups. For instance, detailed reports from independent defense organizations have outlined specific weapons systems where current production rates struggle to keep pace with demand, especially considering foreign aid commitments. These reports often cite public acquisition data, budget allocations, and historical consumption rates during conflicts. They do not claim a complete depletion, but rather a strain on certain categories crucial for sustained operations. This data contrasts sharply with the former president's categorical assurance. In response to any claims of shortage, Trump's camp and supporters typically point to the vastness of the U.S. defense budget and the industrial capacity of American manufacturers. They emphasize the continuous investment in advanced weapons systems and the ongoing modernization efforts across all branches of the military. Proponents of Trump's view argue that any perceived shortage is either mischaracterized, exaggerated, or pertains to temporary logistical issues rather than a fundamental lack of capability. They maintain that the U.S. remains the world's preeminent military power, fully equipped to handle any threat, as articulated by his spokespersons. The situation thus presents two starkly differing narratives. On one side, former President Trump and his allies assert a strong, unwavering defense posture with no critical shortages. On the other, some anonymous officials and independent analysts paint a picture of strain and potential vulnerabilities, particularly in certain specialized areas. The challenge for the public and policymakers is to discern the true state of affairs amid these conflicting accounts. This clash of narratives underscores the difficulty in assessing classified information and the political implications of military readiness, a topic frequently debated in Washington, D.C. At the heart of both claims, the denial of shortages and the pursuit of leakers, lies the sensitive nature of classified information. The public typically does not have access to the granular details of weapons stockpiles or intelligence operations, making it difficult to independently verify claims. This secrecy is deemed necessary for national security but also creates an environment where conflicting narratives can thrive without immediate factual resolution. The debate over what information should remain classified versus what the public needs to know for informed discussion is a constant tension in democratic governance. Understanding the motivations behind Trump's recent remarks is crucial. His denial of a weapons shortage could be interpreted as an effort to bolster confidence in the U.S. military and its defense capabilities, particularly during a volatile global period. The strong stance against leakers may aim to prevent future unauthorized disclosures, which his administration consistently viewed as detrimental. Political analysts suggest these statements also serve to solidify his base, aligning with the America First approach that prioritizes national strength and internal discipline. The rhetoric also sets a precedent for how future administrations might approach such issues. How the public perceives these conflicting narratives and Trump's strong directives is vital. Public trust in government institutions, including the military and intelligence agencies, can be swayed by such high-profile pronouncements. If the public believes there's a cover-up regarding weapons, or that the hunt for leakers is politically motivated, it could erode confidence. Conversely, a strong stance might be seen by some as necessary to protect national interests. The ongoing media coverage and official responses will continue to shape public opinion on these critical issues, influencing future policy debates and electoral outcomes. Trump's declaration of hunting down leakers sets a clear expectation for aggressive investigation. While specific details on current operations remain classified, the directive suggests that any future disclosures will be met with heightened scrutiny and potentially swift legal action. This approach could lead to more internal audits, stricter security protocols, and increased surveillance within government agencies. The focus will likely be on identifying the origin points of leaks and holding individuals accountable, irrespective of their stated motivations, as observed by former intelligence officials commenting on the policy shifts. The debate surrounding U.S. military readiness, specifically regarding weapons stockpiles, is far from over. Trump's denial serves as one perspective, but it does not fully address the detailed concerns raised by some experts. Future congressional hearings, defense budget discussions, and international events will likely bring these issues back to the forefront. The continuous evaluation of strategic reserves, production capacities, and logistical chains remains a paramount task for defense planners, regardless of political statements. The nation's ability to respond to future threats hinges on an accurate and transparent assessment of its military strength. In conclusion, former President Donald Trump's recent statements present a dual challenge to public understanding in governmental operations. His categorical denial of a U.S. weapons shortage directly confronts alternative analyses, creating a fractured narrative on military readiness. Concurrently, his aggressive stance on hunting down leakers signals a renewed intensity in addressing unauthorized information disclosures. Both assertions underscore the intricate balance between national security, transparency, and internal discipline. As events unfold, the implications for U.S. defense policy and government accountability will continue to be a subject of intense scrutiny and ongoing investigation.